Well, I'm known as the grumpy vlogger. I'll gripe and complain longer. Please do me the ado and kindly view me on YouTube.
My fellow Americans, I am Lloyd Mendenhall, the Grumpy Vlogger. I am running for President of the United States of America in the 2020 election. I will be running on the in-dim Republican ticket. I, along with my running mate, James Boyd from Above and Beyond Drones, would like your support. We stand for nothing, and we won't stand for anything. Remember, bite me. Vote for me, and I will set you free. Paid for by the Grumpy Vlogger Campaign Committee, and I approve this message. Thank you. How do everyone? Okay, let's just get right on to it. And whoops, let me do this. Click. There we go. And bring in my esteemed co-host and running mate.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. President-elect.
How you doing, Mr. Vice President? You know, they'll probably impeach us before we ever get in office.
I know. I hope Donald Trump doesn't get word of this.
Yeah, I know. Hey, maybe if Congress thought we were going to be the next in line, they might keep him.
Right, yeah. Did you see what else is coming? We better keep him. Yeah.
Yeah. Why? What else is coming? Oh,
Us.
Pence? Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, they see us coming. They're going to say, yeah, we're fine with him. He works.
Yeah.
Okay, let me do some housekeeping real quick. I always like to. You guys know who this is. Let me see if I can get this. Hi, Greg.
Speakerphone?
Yeah. What's the name of that website where you've got your aviation stuff again?
My what?
That website.
Oh, vmic.info.
What is it?
vmac.info. I almost said vmix. No, it's vmac. vmac.info.
Okay.
All right. Like you're not going to watch the show?
Oh, are you on live? Oh,
Jesus.
Every week, right? Every week.
see ya.
We'll see you, Greg.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks for. He does that every week. Yeah, it's getting to be a routine
Are you
now.
on?
Yeah, are you on? Yeah, he knows darn well I'm on. And there he is in the chat.
There he is. Right.
Exactly. And there's Mr. Stager. Let me start at the top here. Who all do we got here? Because I was, that 5 minutes, 6 minutes we had there, I just barely made it back here.
Did you really?
Yeah. I was waiting for my tea to heat up, and it just didn't. Anyways, we got Arco Drone Solutions. He was first in. Stream Elements. Oh, okay, that's just part of Streamlabs. It's one of the things.
Right.
Okay. We got Tater Rogers, who, by the way, will be my co-host next week. And we got Drone Shots. Hello, Jody. There's Mitch, my co-host from last week. Old guy on a drone. Glad you can make it. Steve Mack, always good to see you. Glad you can make it tonight. Let's see who else we got here. Drone Effects with Claude. Hey, Claude, long time no see. Well, you come into my show every week, but I haven't made it into yours in forever. And I haven't been. Well, he usually has it in the morning, and I'm sleeping.
Right.
Of course,
He's
you're
early.
in here, and we got Tater. Let's see who else we got here. Help at Home Jim. It's always good to have you. And Peter Demestra. And let's see who else we got there. That looks
Mark
like it
says,
for right
"Yeah,
now.
I'm here, Jim. Hide your pockets."
Yeah. And of course,
Lloyd, we need
Rick
to set up
Rick
an
Albert.
account for us. Oh, Rick Halber.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rick.
We need to set up what?
An account for a slush fund. What's going on here?
I know. It's like even failed politicians end up rich. So we're not going to do. We're not doing something right. I keep
I
asking people to bribe me, and they won't.
I cut you off before you got to Peter Demestre, so I need
Yeah.
to say
No, I
hello
said
to him.
Peter. I said his
Oh,
name.
you did? Okay.
Yeah. I said Peter, and then Rick Halber popped in about that time. So,
And
all right.
there's that Wizard of Oz guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Greg Oz by Drone, and of course there's Mr. Stay Drunk, my other
Right.
favorite Aussie. Brent
And
Nunley,
Brent
hello.
he just
Yeah.
jumped in.
All right. Okay, you know, let's get on to some of this stuff we were talking about. Let me get this over here. And I have talked about it before, and I'm going to do it now. We're going to have some news. We're going to get right to the news. Let me start that. All right. And Jim, you're in the background, but I'm going to be reading this off here. Let's see. MMC UAV they have a new hydrogen-powered drone, the Griffleon 8, is launched this September in Germany during the Intergeo Conference and Trade Fair, featuring a record-breaking 15-hour flight time. The vertical takeoff and landing UAV is powered by hydrogen, and let's see, I think I've got pictures. I think this is it right here. And I'll have to turn your mic back on, but make sure. I'll make it. Anyways, this is the Griffleon H, okay? And it flew up to 15 hours. Vertical takeoff and landing UAV is powered by a hydrogen fuel battery developed by MMC UAV. And now oh, that's nice. It's annoying, but anyways. Hydrogen Korea. Doosan's hydrogen drone pushes the limits. This is from Yeongjin, Goyan Province, like I can pronounce that. Doosan Is your mic working? Or I can't tell if you're
Yeah,
talking to me.
yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. Anyways, this is another hydrogen-powered drone, and in October, they claimed that it will be the first mass-produced commercial drone that can fly over 2 hours. Well, they need to talk to the people over in Germany because they already have one. But
Yeah.
there again,
There's some companies out there that don't get any credit, like Foxtech, who have been
right?
producing drones,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yangda Technologies.
Here is that little Korean drone, and there's their version of a hydrogen-powered drone. And now, let me come right back and let me. So where's my solo shot? Is this it? No, that's not it. Okay, and the third subject that I'm going to talk about in hydrogen powered. Let's see. Hydrogen powered drone flies over the Netherlands. Man, they're all doing something with hydrogen over there. At the testing center at the Markenese, the Royal Netherlands Aerospace Center, NLR, has flown a drone in Dutch airspace powered by hydrogen. This is the first time it has been done outdoors in the Netherlands, and it provides additional insight into the research and development of alternative fuels for sustainable aviation. And I've got a picture of that little scudder right here. And there it is. So, make sure your sound is on. And that's the new hydrogen-powered drone from the Netherlands. And that's the end of the news as I see it. It's the only This is the only honest fake news outlet you'll ever find. And let's bring in my co-host again. And we got a lot of other stuff to talk about, but those were the things I wanted to hit on. I mean, they were hot off the press, folks. I mean, hot off the press. And now enough of that BS. What you want to talk about, Jim? What's going on with you?
Well, Greg is saying low mic.
My mic?
Lloyd.
Ah. Yes, it could be. It could be I'm far away from my mic. How's that?
I mean, I hear you fine.
Can you guys hear me better now? Let's see. Where is my mic? Grumpy News.
I hear you fine, but I have a direct
yeah.
link to the
Yeah,
vMix.
my audio. Is this any better? Okay. Hopefully
see,
this
Greg-
is better. Yeah.
Greg
All
did a
right.
hit and run.
Yeah, well.
He said
Yeah.
that and ran.
Sometimes my voice doesn't come across strong anymore like it used to. And, it's like, okay, good. It's like I do a show with Art on Sunday and then Mel on Sunday, and by Monday, and if I talk to anybody for very long, and you and I have been talking all day, if I talk to, by the time I end of my show, I've lost my voice. It just, too many years of, is it better? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Turn your headset up, Greg. You're getting older now. It's hard. You're getting hard of hearing. Jack, he's going to call me for harassing him. But
Can he? Whoa. Can he call you? Does he have the internet power yet?
oh yeah, he's got smoking hot internet now. They finally got that problem fixed. But anyways, what do you think of those hydrogen powered drones?
I think hydrogen fuel cells are going to create more regulations. God, I can hear myself in here now. That'll drive you nuts.
I'm used to it. I do it because that way I can tell if my volume's too low or stuff. But yours shouldn't be.
Yep, I hear me.
You getting feedback?
Yeah.
All right, let me see where you're at.
I hear me on a half a second delay.
Okay. How about now? No, that just shuts you off. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear the hum in the background.
Okay.
But from yours?
Yeah, it's probably from mine.
I've got my gain all the way up.
Yeah.
So.
Let me turn yours down. Okay.
Mark says the only byproduct of hydrogen is that it's clean water.
Yeah. So it is a good power source. Yes. Yeah. Oh, another call. Hey. Yeah.
Speaking of power sources, how many people have checked their Mavic 2 Pro?
I'll do that. Thank you.
Batteries.
Okay. All right. Bye. Oh, I just let me see if I can find this. I want to do this for somebody that hit 1,000 subscribers tonight. Artco Drone Solutions hit 1,000 subscribers tonight. So that's what that phone call was about. It's from somebody else. It wasn't from Art, but yeah. So Artco hit 1,000. Good for you. So, all right. So what do you think about that hydrogen? I wonder what the cost is going to be.
Now you're throwing hydrogen up in the air.
Yeah.
People are going to be saying, "Oh, now we have hydrogen bombs flying around."
Yeah, that's what they're going to think.
The regulations for the electric drones settled.
Yeah. But yeah, congratulations to Art and uh, also Ben Cartwright, welcome, and Thomas O'Sullivan. It's always good to see you.
Oh, I see Claude said that in the chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's who called me. He just let me know. I hadn't even looked. I checked it. We was talking about it yesterday, how close he was, but I didn't realize he was quite that close. So, good for him.
Tomas O'Sullivan.
And
We can count on him. I never know what time it is, but he'll stay up till 3 in the morning watching us.
yeah, yeah. Well, hopefully
Dedication.
we're not going to be up till 3 in the morning our time. So, uh, what kind of things are going on with you, Jim? What do you got going?
Well, I posted on the website the other day that somebody was having their problems with their Mavic 2 Pro batteries.
Right,
And I was
right.
like, oh, I'm glad I don't have that problem. But it turns out I do. I don't know if we can really
Yeah,
see
here
that
we go.
puffing up.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
But
I can
these
see it from
won't
here.
fit in the drone correctly. They don't snap in when they
Right.
puff up like this,
Yeah,
and you can
because they're,
push it down.
yeah,
These have 24, 27, and 29 charges on them. And it
and they're
seems
already,
to be the batch that was created in July of 2018.
oh,
Now,
wow.
of course, I told DJI, and it's on their forums, that other people are having the same problem. And they said, send us a video of your battery along with its serial number. Of
Okay.
course, in another week, it'll be a year old, so they won't
Yeah,
cover it anyway.
yeah. Well, uh, if it turns out it's a bad batch, I mean, it's a year old, but it doesn't have that many hours on it. It's
No,
not like you fly that thing round the clock. And
they're all under 30 charges.
yeah, exactly. So if anybody else out there that's watching that have is the Mavic 2
Mavic 2 series, yeah.
or the Mavic 2 series, so it doesn't matter whether it's the Zoom or the Pro. So
Yeah, they use the same batteries.
yeah, that's
So,
right. It wouldn't make any difference. So well, that just sucks, because that's a danger in itself having both because you and I were talking before the show. I mean, if that battery falls out, you've got two projectiles from falling from the sky. You know,
exactly.
two chances of harming people. And I don't know which is heavier. That battery is about half the weight of the whole drone. You know,
It's a good weight. It's at
yeah,
least a pound.
yeah. And falling from 400 feet, let's say you're 400 feet up and that thing pops out, yeah, you're going to have, uh,
That's too much of a danger for them not to take seriously. Because when I
yeah,
looked on their own forums, there were plenty of people complaining about it.
yeah. Well, then it sounds like they got just a bad batch and they're going to have to recall all those. And usually, but, unfortunately with recalls, uh, oh, Chris Hope is saying that Ken Dono and Dennis Lovelady, he believes, was having problems with it too. So, and so
You can
yeah,
tell
that's
because you're like, why isn't this snapping into the drone? And
right,
then you look
right.
at that bottom.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you showed that to me earlier today, I looked at that and I could see it through the camera. That's why I brought you in close up there so that we could, because trying to figure out why when I direct a comment towards someone with the at thing, it moves the cursor to the beginning of the line. Anybody else having that issue?
No,
No.
no, but you're weird anyway, Mark.
Well, he could have a sticky keyboard. He's got a kid. Likes to play with the keyboard, and today, my grandson Ryder turned 2 years old today. So, and his mother put a picture. God, I look at that picture, and he looks just like his dad did at that age. Which my son that Apollo's Grace that comes in here, and he usually listens in. I don't know if he's listening tonight or not, but he's the one who did my Grumpy Vlogger theme song for me. So yeah, his this is his next to the youngest. You know, out of 10 kids, this is the next to the youngest. He's got one that's just I don't know, maybe 4 months old. If he's listening, he'll put in the chat. Yeah, and he's 40. Let's see, we had this discussion. I think he's 44. Yeah, and he's got his oldest one is like 24. Actually, probably older than that, closer to 26. And and there's Mr. Steve Carpenter. So he's got kids, like 26 years old, and he's got a newborn. Like, you need to get that problem fixed. 10 kids. I mean, God. So that gives us a total of 20. I think we got 20 grandkids and 11 great grandkids. So
I'm trying to figure out who I didn't say hello to.
yeah,
Steve just came in.
Yeah, Steve just came in, and yeah, I think he was the last one to pop in. I saw him pop in, so I was glad he could make it. But yeah, so what do you think about the new unique drone? What do you think about that one?
The H3.
The H3,
It has
yes.
a 20-inch sensor made by Leica, and they're calling it the Ion L1 Pro.
Okay.
Now, I had posted that before. It had talked about a zoom, but I can't find it anywhere in their specifications.
Right.
But
right.
even with that, setting that aside, the camera itself, even though it's fixed at 2.8, this thing has a 91-degree field of view.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's unbelievable.
20 megapixels. So it's going to be a 23 millimeter equivalent, which is DJI's usually 30.
Yeah. Grant says, Paco, that's my son that has the 10 kids. He says he needs to buy a television. He does.
And they've got this new picture mode called wide dynamic range.
Yeah.
Well, that would fit in with the 91
right.
degree field of view.
Yeah. Did you say Peter Demester was asking 20-inch or 2-inch? We're talking about the sensor, right? It's a 2-inch.
Oh, it's a 1-inch 20 megapixel.
1-inch 20 megapixel. Okay.
The old standard f2.8
Right.
lens. And everything else is the same as the drones you're used to. The ISO range at 6400.
Yeah. Well, all of a sudden, the sound just kicked up and went high. I don't know if they can hear it out there or not, but it's like my sound, your sound, my sound, everything just jumped up. And then and it's like I was having the same problem everybody else was. It was quiet, and now all of a sudden something popped or something. And it's like boom, our mics are good or loud again. So
I can hear myself typing.
Yeah, I can hear you too.
That's crazy. They're saying it has a 2-kilometer transmission range, which is 1.25 miles in the FCC mode.
Really?
Yeah, well, I guess if you're doing line of sight work, that's far enough.
Yeah, if you're doing line of sight work, but if you're not, well, I have an idea the line of sight thing. There's going to be I think they're already talking about an advanced line of sight or enhanced.
Well, they're going to allow beyond visual line of sight because you have too many autonomous drones and software that you're restricting right now.
Yeah.
by not allowing them to do their capabilities. What if you're doing a large agricultural field?
Right, right. Yeah, because some of those farm fields are just, uh, I mean, they are just huge. I mean,
Oh,
they
down
run
here
on.
you've got
Yeah,
cane fields. You
yeah,
can't see the other
yeah,
side of them.
yeah. You can't see the other side of them for sure. Yeah, there's a lot of agricultural reasons why to have beyond line of sight. You know, and they're going to have enhanced line of sight or something like that come up. They're going to have to come up with a new rule. So that's kind of what Mel was hitting on last night about a little bit about flying legal and stuff. Well, we can fly legal, but there's times where they're going to uh, they're going to have to change some rules. But if we don't, that whole line of sight thing. It's like you said, you get down to the other end of uh, a hectacre, which is what 600 by 600. Uh, is a hectacre, I think. It's huge, and yeah, and I can't remember it. I used to know that stuff because I used to back in the day.
But
I
I
used to
mean,
buck
just look
bales.
at it like a solar field,
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. You
you
know,
know. And they've got all those. How long has been Litchi out? A couple of years for
right?
waypoints.
Yeah,
And DJI made their own pilot app. GS Pro has been out for years.
yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
Sculpedo, Harmony. There's a bunch of apps out there
Right, right,
that are made to just go do power line inspections or wind farm inspections.
right. Now, while I've got you on here, because we talked on this extended visual line of sight. That's it. EVLOS. That's with piloting management deconflection. Okay. All right. Glad you put that in there, Greg. I understood everything but the last three words, and then I was lost. He's using them 50-cent
Pilot
words.
managing deconfliction. In other words, you're staying away from other drones and other
Yeah,
aircraft.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And there was something I saw that they're doing a lot of testing right now in some of these drone management systems where you'll be able to see, they'll pop up on your app just like a air traffic control situation. And yeah, I'm
Yeah,
not going to sit here and pretend.
ADSB
Yeah,
in does
and I'm
that.
not going to pretend I know any of this stuff because, as I say, I'm a vlogger. I'm not a droner. That's why I got guys like you coming on, so that we can talk about drones and I can sit there and go, yeah, sounds good to me.
Well, I have the ADSB in on the Matrice,
Right,
and it'll warn you when an aircraft is approaching your area, and you can touch on that button, and it'll give you the ICAO number of the
right.
aircraft, its height, and how far away it is from you.
So
It'll
you have
actually
it.
show it on the map.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've got tracking systems. I mean, I can go online right now because
Flight
when I do,
24.
yeah, yeah, and you can go online. There's a number of places, ATC, places that you can find out where any aircraft is at any one spot in the world. I tracked my son, my oldest son, James, when he was coming back from Florida, and he took, I don't know, Sopwith Camel Airlines or some piece of junk. They only flew to Florida twice. They only flew down and they
Twice a
flew
month.
back. Yeah, twice a week. Uh, they took the plane came down from Tulsa and landed in I don't know, Clearwater or someplace like that, and
Fueled up.
yeah, fueled up. Then they took the passengers that were going back. Well, if they got there and the plane was broke, you were stuck until the next plane for 2 days later. Tuesdays and Thursdays. You know, and that happened to him. He got stuck, and so when he was getting ready to take off, I was texting to his daughter, my granddaughter, to saying, yeah, they're taking off. This is where they're at. They're at 10,000 feet. They're at 15,000 feet. They're so many miles from there. She goes, how are you doing that? I said, just using live tracking, you know. And if they can do
Yeah.
that for anything from a game like Flight Sim, like these flight simulator games, if they can do the live tracking on that, and I can put it on my website, they can put it in an app on your phone or on your Crystal Sky or your iPad or whatever you use to fly your drone, or the controller
Right.
of whatever type of video device is attached to your controller, you know.
And guys are naming apps in here like Flight Radar 24, there's Flight
Right,
Aware.
right,
But the whole point is that not every plane, especially the smaller ones,
right.
had ADSB. And that's why
Yeah,
they're requiring it now.
yeah, yeah,
2020.
yeah. And
Those little crop dusters are the ones you got to worry about.
yeah, those guys, because that is truly flying by the seat of your pants being a crop duster. That
And in 2020, you won't have to worry about any of those apps anyway. It'll be on your drone screen.
Okay, well, that'd be good. Now, will
It's
that,
going to be a requirement.
but is that a software update or is that going to be a hardware configuration?
Hardware.
Okay. So, like my Mavic Air won't have it.
No, that'll have to be for new drones
New
coming out.
drones coming out. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's got to be able to read and have the. Well, you're not putting out a signal, you're just bringing in
Bringing in.
ADSB.
Yeah,
But still, your controller needs to know where you are in relation to, let's
your
say it
aircraft.
brings in Flight Radar 24 app.
Right.
They
Well,
have to talk to each other.
there again, they could just add that to the Go4 app. You know, they could just add that as a a substring of the
Oh,
software.
God, they talk to enough. You
Well,
check through
that's
those strings, they even go to Alibaba.
yeah,
Chris Hope and Tommaso Sullivan said you can ask Siri what planes are flying above you now.
oh yeah, you can. Oh, and I see Oklahoma Droner. He is our token millennial. We're always glad to see him in, and you know, you got to have a millennial, or you're not a well-rounded group.
Peter Carroll. What's up,
Peter
buddy?
Carroll, hey mate, what's up? Glad he made it. So you're flying. What do you use for your job when you go out and do a job?
Trace 210 RTK.
Okay, and
I use that for construction. And I have the X5S camera and the Z30.
okay, okay, yeah, you showed me that today. That was pretty sharp. And so, what do you think about the new P4?
Well, I was talking to Rick Halber about this. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's the same as a Centera or a Microsense sensor. DJI is showing 6 sensors, but you've got red, blue, green, near red, and red edge.
Yeah.
And that last camera is the RGB.
Okay.
So if you got a thermal camera, you don't need it. If you've got a Centera or Microsense cameras, you don't need it. It's going to be about 7 to 8 grand, and it's
Okay.
specifically for crops.
Right. Yeah. And it comes down to, and it goes back to what I've been saying all along. You know, uh, I knew that there wasn't going to be a P5 come out this year. I mean, they may surprise me in December at Christmas time, drop a P5 out there just to make everybody look silly. But they. I remember, and you and I have talked about this, and I've said it 100 times, and I think it was Rick Smith might have done the interview, and he was trying to get some information at the CES in February of this year, and they said they were going to be focusing on their enterprise side of things, and other than the camera that they brought out and the robot that they brought out, that's what they've done. They've stuck to their words. And
They came out with another one called the Agris T16, I think it believed. think it is. But people don't realize you got to have a 107.39 because now that's carrying chemicals and
Right,
spraying.
right. The crop dusting setup. Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, you're in a whole nother class. You're not
right.
just RC flying.
I can't remember who it was. He's been on. I think he's been on Greg's show, and he's been on Ken's show, and I think I was in on a
Sky
panel with.
something?
Yeah, he's going for his in all the. I mean, he showed the stack of books that he had to go through just to study to, and the paperwork
Yeah,
he's got to fill out, and even the FAA guys there aren't sure what to do with all of it, because
right.
it's new to them too. So yeah, and so those kind of drones are only going to be good for somebody that's got that, and that's
A process to get
yeah, yeah.
certified.
I was just reading what Ben Cartwright said. I hope they don't drop a P5. I waited a year and a half and got tired of waiting and bought a used Inspire
Inspired.
2. Uh, no need now. Oh, now he needs to save for a camera. Yeah, yeah,
Well, boy, they really milked that one. You've got the X5S, which is a 20.8 megapixel camera. And then they dropped the X7, which comes camera only. You got to spend another $4,000 if you want the lens kit.
right.
And you're only talking about 24 megapixels. So,
Chris
you
Hope
know,
says, "I'll show DJI. I'll buy the new Unique." And Ben Cartwright says, "Or a Karma."
I would buy a Karma. I mean, they had the right idea with the handle on it already and everything. That's an Osmo and a drone packed into one.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
the hell would they just give it up like that?
yeah,
So what? You had problems. Everybody has problems.
yeah. Well, it's like
Quitters.
uh, uh, the the one that Dan crashed. What is that?
The Solo.
The Solo. Yeah, that's another
Yeah.
good. You know, it just
Nothing wrong with it. And it's
no.
open source.
It's open source. Yeah, it's.
It was
I'm
too
finding
new. It was ahead of its time,
it
is what the
was.
problem
It
was.
was, and I saw something today in one of the news feeds I was watching, trying to get ready for the show, and they're talking about how you get much more power by doing your own battery, doing the battery mods, and they're referring to other drones now, and
Yeah.
Dan's been doing that with the that's how he gets uh,
There hasn't been a solo battery produced in 5 years.
5 years, yeah, and he's having to, and uh, and eventually, I hate to say this, but I'll bet in I'll bet in 10 years you won't be able to buy a P4 battery.
Well, now with the new RTK version and this new Spectral, I think they probably advanced it at least another 5 years. You'll be able to
Well,
get those batteries.
that's why I went
But
out
look at
10.
your Inspires.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think at some point we're going to see all the drones that we buy uh, are going to be obsolete, and the batteries. I mean, I think about when I raced RC cars. We were running on analog. You had little crystals you put in for your channel. Now it's all digital,
Yes,
and it's all
yes.
yeah.
I remember that.
It's you know, and I spent 300. When I was racing RC10s, and we were spending $300 a month on that. And
Hey, I started off with Estes rockets out in the
yeah,
field.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
But
remember.
we have a track down at Valkyria Airport
Hmm.
where they still do the RC car racing.
My son Patrick, he still races RC cars sometimes. They have a thing up here in Tulsa every year. They have it's called the Chili Bowl, and they're the sprint car races. And they have the mini Chili Bowl, which is the sprint car, remote controlled car races at the same time. It's a I can't remember. I think it's for part of the Home and Boat show that they have up there in February, and they have the big chili bowl, which is and then they have this miniature chili bowl, which is and it's part of the National RC Car Racing Associations. So, there's Bill from Coast to Coast Drones. Welcome, and Help at Home
Hey,
Jim.
Bill.
I think I said hi to him already.
Mark said he had a Big Bertha. Oh, you flew Estes rockets too? Yeah, we used to make them. At first, they didn't have parachutes, so you played "Where Did That Land?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember those.
Then people started putting cameras in them.
Super fast tether cars. I'm trying to think.
They have tether cars.
I'm thinking they did. Yeah. I'm trying to think where I saw them at. Yeah. I can't remember now. It's been so long, but I did my racing back in the '90s. When my son was a kid, and that was fun. But expensive, like any hobby. But I got into it a lot more than I did into the drones. And I mean, I've got my drones and I fly them, but I enjoy doing this more than anything else. So, uh,
I remember when you had the shop, the local hobby shop had
yeah,
an indoor track.
yes, yeah. That's how we got into RC racing because the guy that had the hobby shop, he opened up an indoor track, you know, and there was a guy that had a service station that had uh, he he had a service station and he put a track out, an outdoor track, and then he started selling parts, but he was asking ridiculous prices because he was going to the hobby store up in Tulsa and buying them, and then bringing them down and sell them for a markup, you know. And you could either go up. So this one guy that had been racing, and he was actually he'd actually was part of the National Hot Rod Association, and he had done drag racing for years, and and he thought, well, this is safer. I'm getting too fat and old to be crawling into a drag car now. So he decided he'd get into the RC business. He opened up a hobby shop, and he was very successful at it, you know. And but like everything, all hobbies die out. That's why I said in 10 years, uh, most of the drones we fly are going to be obsolete, and the batteries will be. Oh, thank you.
But look, where's the technology as far as the basics really gone? Guys flying RC airplanes or the ones with the original motors,
Right.
they've been around forever.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing they've changed is the signal. It's gone from analog to digital. You know, and I mean, look at FPV. Uh, Now they're starting to, DJI's new goggle system. They're going to have digital FPV controls, or
It doesn't
systems
beat
now.
analog and distance, though.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But uh, the fact is this is the first, rendition of it. Wait
Right.
5 or 10 years, and you're going to have that digital that's going to be able to. It's like I said to you today. If they can count the pimples on my butt from a satellite in space, you
Yeah.
know, they can make, they can make a plane avoid a drone, and they can. There's anything that is possible, you know. And most of this technology comes out of the military, and we just got to wait for them to get tired of it, come up with something new, and give it to us, because that's where we get it after it's already been used by them for 10 years. They
Trickle
say,
down effect.
yeah, it really is.
I
I
just
mean,
have to recognize some of the guys like Mark and Bill are saying talcum powder on the Estes rockets. They were thin plastic parachutes that went into the cap of the rocket. And
right?
if you didn't put the talcum powder on them,
Uh huh.
they wouldn't open up. They'd stick
Right. They
together
just,
from the
yeah,
heat.
stick together. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I never had a successful flight with my Estes rockets. They all crashed, just like.
I had a neighbor who was really into them. He would build those 3-stage rockets that were huge, like Big Bertha. Mark was talking about.
Yeah.
That's Tater.
Right. Yeah. 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 I knew him when he was just Mark Rogers, you know, and then he goes and gets famous and changes his name to Tater.
Now he's got Tater Tot.
Tater Tot. Yeah. 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 He was actually he was one of my first co-hosts. He was uh, and I haven't had him on in forever. And of course he's been working a
It's
lot and
it's better for your ratings.
oh yeah,
The
you
guy's
know,
not fit to be on prime time.
yeah. But I need
You're
to,
not
you
going
know,
to get
he's going to
that
be in
right.
next week, so you know, we'll see if my show gets any better next week or not.
He and I had a blast last week in the chat. We were
Oh
just
yeah, I
going back
know.
and forth with each other.
This is my problem is I like to, okay, you'll notice I'll do it on Mel's show a lot. I'll be talking and all of a sudden you go, what were you saying?
Looking at the
Oh, I'm
chat.
sorry. I get lost with the chat because I've got it right here in front of me. So my camera's right here. I've got to come up with a different system for my camera. I need it at that height so that it shows me, uh, but it keeps my pot belly far enough under the desk that it does, you know, because of my green
I
screen. So
got the bendable arm with
yeah.
mine.
Oh,
The
did
arm
you?
hooks to the desk.
Yeah. Well, I got that funky. It's just a clamshell type thing. It opens up and you can just, but it doesn't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
adjust. And
On top of the screen.
yeah, yeah, it doesn't. And so I've got it. I've got that thing in sort of a wedge like this, sitting on top of my tower. You
Yep.
know, behind which is behind my monitors. I've got two monitors here, and one of these days I'm going to hook up my cell phone and hook it up to this so that I can show another camera scene. You know, like Mel does. But anyways, uh, before I get any further along, there's one thing I do, and this is one of those situations that I hadn't. I thought long and hard about who I wanted. You guys know I do a shout out. This is for somebody extra special, and I owe this person everything. So this is going to be my shout out for the week, and it is none
Everything?
other.
You owe them
Well,
everything?
I do. When you see who it is, you're going to find out. Yeah, I owe him a lot. This person an awful lot. It's the only reason I'm probably still breathing. So, okay, it didn't work. Oh, there we go. That is my wife and
Mama Vlogger.
Mama Vlogger. Yeah, yeah. When we gamed, when we started gaming, we did. Uh, uh, it was. I don't know why that hesitated. Yep. Now there she is.
Go ahead. Take
All
care
right.
of her.
I'm gonna go take care of that real quick. I'm gonna put you over on full screen and you talk with the guys for whatever you want. Yep, it was Miss Judy. Yep.
Yeah, that was Judy. Guys, I gotta tell you, I was really ticked off. I don't know if you can see that. I mean, it doesn't look like much, but the battery won't snap in. And you can see it from this level, how it's puffed up. And then you can just push down and it's mush. Son of a. Like I said, they're under 30 charges. Flies just fine, and there's no indications on the cells that any of them are going, down or anything. I don't know why it would be happening. You got to wonder if it's because they put that heating element in there too. What do you do? Press it twice, and they'll warm up. You can see the bulge. All right. I thought they were more than that, Mark. What are the? Let's see. Mavic 2 Pro batteries. $137. That's insane. And I've got 3 of them like that. I know a bunch of guys I've seen online have the same problem. We posted it in that little group we made. I think I'm on the B mix now. Yeah. And the guy, I don't know if that was Ken's original battery in there. Lipos will puff if you run them below 3. No, these have not been run down. Well, see, DJL does 6 months or 200 flights on their other batteries. I haven't seen the warranty on these. I haven't looked it up. I remember the Inspire batteries were 6 months or 200 flights. Just get a propane torch and melt the plastic and push it back down. Yeah. I tell you what, you mess with these, you can't put that fire out. They don't go like at 3.59, they start screaming that they're dangerously below. Because I had one cell drop like that in another aircraft, and to bring them all back leveled out, I had to bring them down to 5% total to reset it, because they've got the battery management system in there on the board. That's wrong. DJI should replace those batteries free of charge. Well, what I'm seeing is it turns out to be that July of 2018 production run. So there's got to be a lot of us who got them around that same time. We're back to batteries, Lloyd.
Yeah, yeah. I was just reading what
I got a
Steve.
feeling it's going to be a large problem.
Yeah, it probably is. I was reading what Steve said. Yeah, deserves sainthood for putting up with me. And when I said I owe her everything, yeah, she's. Well, one of the what I was going to say about that earlier was the reason I call Mama Vloggers. Her call sign when we were playing games was Mama One, because we started playing first person shooters first, you know, and she went by Mama One. And so when I started the Grumpy Vlogger, I just switched that over to Mama Vlogger. So, but there's still guys that come on and call us, call me Commander and her Mama One. So, but yeah, yeah, they're going to have to do something about that battery. They're going to have some problems. But they'll say, they're a year old, you know.
Well, like I said, it's in their forum. It's in Mavic Pilot's forum too, right? Right, guys? Thunderbird 6.
Oh,
Evening.
is he on? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep
well,
hammering
welcome.
DJI as a group. Exactly. And they'll make it like the Inspire batteries and those Matrice batteries that were having those problems.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you just got to keep after it, because otherwise it you know, they're like any corporation. They're going to try and get by with what they can. If they don't have to, you know.
And the problem is they don't make the batteries.
Who makes their batteries?
That's farmed out to like Tattoo or some
okay.
battery
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
They just design.
Now, Tater, what we started out playing was Medal of Honor, and then we went to Call of Duty United Offensive. I don't know, I can't remember. It's about 3 or 4 of those games, and then we started playing World of Warcraft, and after that it was downhill. You know,
I never got into that stuff.
Well, with Judy, I had 2 computers set up in here one Christmas, and the grandkids came over, and I had been doing flight simulator stuff, and we started playing Call of Duty. And well, good night, Brent. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate that you coming in. But
Thanks,
uh,
Brent.
but yeah, we went from flight simulator to playing Call of Duty, and I set up a game one night for my grandkids during Christmas. They all came down and were staying here, so they were having such a blast. My granddaughters were having fun, and so she came in to check and see what they were doing, and she says, "Oh, let me sit down." So she sat down and started playing with them. She played solid for a year. She never missed a night after that. It's like God. So, but anyways, that's how. Oh, all right, Mitch. Well, you take care. Yeah, we've
Night,
kind
Mitch.
of we've gone a good hour now, and what else? You said you wrote some things down you wanted to talk about. What else was it you wanted to talk about? You want to talk about the batteries. We talked about the new unique H
Ion
yeah
L1
camera. Yeah,
20 megapixel.
20 megapixel.
In the write up, it had said something about digital and
Digital zoom.
optical
Yeah,
zoom,
optical zoom.
and there's nothing in the
Yeah.
specs as far as
Okay.
that. Because
All
that
right.
would be kind of an all in one lens, especially with that 91-degree field of view. If you were able to control that,
Right.
from 91, come down to a 50 or 60,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a wide variety of shots you could make.
Oh yeah. 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 That's yeah. Because there's
I had a
times you
guy
want that.
one time who wanted me to get a shopping center, but he wanted the Home Depot also in the shot because that would help him sell his shopping center
Right. Right.
because of the traffic to Home Depot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the 70 degrees wasn't enough on the
Right.
DJI camera. And when you go for panoramas, it blows the whole idea of a single photo out of the
Right. Right.
business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that would not be a problem with this camera.
Well, that'd be cool. Yeah. That would.
So there's
I just
one use case right there.
right. There's a good example of what it would be good
It's
for.
$2,200.
Yeah.
So really, that's about the same price as a Mavic 2 Pro now.
Yeah. I know.
Well, I guess with the Fly More kit, I don't know.
Yeah. What all comes with it for that 2200? I mean, what do you get?
Well, I've got their sheet right up here. 2 batteries, charger, neck strap, the the ST16S controller, which is their Android controller that also does waypoints and all that on it.
Right.
And I've
Right.
heard that is very good for mapping. Their system has been hailed. Also, an additional patch antenna, like DJI has a patch antenna for the Matrice series,
Right. Right.
SD card, USB, and power cables. So it's pretty much a complete kit.
Yeah.
Now, the other, like the Typhoon H, I know like Claude has,
Claude has a
you can
Typhoon
put
H.
3
Yeah.
batteries into it. This one says it comes with 2. And it has the Intel
Hello, Bob Casey.
obstacle avoidance on it.
It has the what
Hey,
obstacle
Bob.
avoidance?
That Intel RealSense
Oh,
optical
okay. Yeah.
avoidance,
Yeah.
which is available up to 4 meters a second,
Wow.
which if you're doing photogrammetry or anything like that, you don't want to be going over 3 meters a second anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And these aren't used for, racing or anything like that.
No. No. Well, they're used for commercial purposes. But
Yeah.
I,
Or
I can see using. Oh, that reminded me. What show was it I was watching? I was
was I there
watching.
watching it with you?
Huh? Now I was. Oh, unique H520E90 bundle, 44.95.
Yeah. So this is half
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, in Australia, it'd probably still be close to that. I don't know what the exchange
Oh,
rate
that's
is right
right.
now. Yeah, Australia, which is sad. You'd think because China is just right there. It's just across. You know, just across the bay, so to speak. Where some of this stuff is made. It wouldn't be that far to get it down there. But yeah, you know, actually,
Chris says he likes the Intel RealSense. I remember
who?
they first came out with that Typhoon and it didn't have anything. And that
Right.
RealSense, wasn't that like a plus, the plus model?
I think so. I used to because my son had a unique, and
That 520, the orange one that they were touting for construction, I haven't seen that take off either.
unique has a bad problem trying to get stuff off the ground, so to speak, which is bad for a drone. Bad play on words, but they they just don't seem to ever get the traction. But
Yeah.
it's like you said, there are
But
so many more drones out there. Besides, everybody thinks DJI nowadays, but there are so many more drones with so many more options, especially when you get into the consumer side. I mean, the pro, the enterprise, and
yeah, yeah,
it
industrial.
actually it's the
But if you
professionals,
look at companies like Foxtech,
right?
you'll see that stuff DJI never came out with, like the Track Tanner, which is a
Right?
tracking antenna. Foxtech has had it for over a year,
Yeah,
and they've got a speaker system that you can use by walkie-talkie or cell phone. They've got all kinds of optical zoom
yeah. I
cameras. I
was
mean,
I was watching a show, and think I know it was an Australian show. It that was on 2015 to 2017 Miss Fisher Mysteries, and we have the DVD set. So if we go up to the cabin, it's one of Judy's favorite mysteries, and uh, it's based out of the Roaring Twenties. Which this is what was funny is they were filming a plane chase. A plane's chasing a guy on the ground, another guy's on the motorcycle, and they're doing this. They're tracking the motorcycle and the plane at the same time. And of course, they have when you buy the DVD set, you get the behind the scenes stuff. And they're tracking it
right.
with this huge cinematographic photo drone, a movie drone.
Well,
I
that's
can't
what
lay.
the Alpha and the Free Fly were like.
Yeah.
Huge.
And it was so funny to see this guy riding a 1915 BSA motorcycle with a Sopwith Camel flying out in front of him and a drone following behind that. It's like, oh, I need that shot for my show. I'm going to have to take the disc, bring it in here. I'm going to have to, rip it and put it in, find that shot and say, see, this is how long drones have been around. But it was surreal. It's just unbelievable to see that drone chasing that 1915 BSA motorcycle and and a Sopwith Camel.
He's
Yeah,
he's
yeah. Uh,
was that what did that stand for? British Sporting Association?
Bavaria. No,
Bavaria? No, that's
no,
BMW.
that's BMW. I don't. I used to know what
I
BSA stood
remember.
for. I think it's British. Is it British Sport Association?
Come on, guys.
We got such a thing here. It's called Google.
Well, that's true. We got guys in the chat who know, I'm sure.
Uh, Boy Scouts of America, that wasn't it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna have to say motorcycles in with that.
yeah.
PSA motorcycles.
Yeah.
Uh, Birmingham Small Arms.
Could be. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
BSA motorcycles were made by Birmingham Small Arms Company, which were a major British industrial combine, a group of businesses.
Oh,
Okay.
Triumph took them over.
Triumph took over the BSAs. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, now we know.
Well, I only had one friend who had a Triumph back in the old days. That was back in the 70s.
Oh, motorcycle?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever ridden a BMW motorcycle?
No, not with the motor configuration like that.
Yeah. Uh,
I ride
one of
a Harley Electric Glide Classic
one of my
with the
this,
feature.
my ex-wife's uncle had one, and he let me ride it. That was one big beast, and he only let me ride it once because I went around the corner just a little too tight, and I slowed down a little too much, and I just went thunk.
Slid out.
I just fell. I just stepped off of it. I wasn't going that fast. I was just like, oh crap. And there's nothing funnier to see somebody. Yeah, of course, he was mad as hell, but he was an old biker, and he, he's probably about 150 pounds overweight. So he's got this, and he's Hispanic, so he looks like a fat Freddie Fender running down trying to get. Of course, I look at him and see he's coming my direction. I take off. I was still in the service, so I could outrun him till he got on the motorcycle. He got up behind me and just clotheslined me. Yeah, he did. He was pissed. I didn't blame him. I was just like, yeah, because it was a beautiful bike. It was like brand new. It looked like brand new. And after I laid it over, it had it didn't do too bad. Scuffed up the mirror a little bit. Scuffed up the highway pegs a little bit. Other than that, it was okay.
Who is that? Who rode the Boss Hog? That thing was a car engine on a bike. The Boss Hog.
Yeah.
Who was that said that? I just
Yeah.
saw it. Triumph 600.
Yeah.
Mark was saying that.
Let's see. You guys remember the Kawasaki Triple? That was an insane three
No,
cylinders.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Steve Mack. I used to ride Harley and a Boss Hoss,
Okay.
but I remember those were the ones with the car engine on the front, like
And
chromed out.
Bob Casey
350s.
brought up something, and I do want to touch on. I know it's he's talking about our Second Amendment rights. Artco had a gal on yesterday he could put her name in the chat if he's still in there, and she's an NRA instructor, and she teaches the hunter safety course, which you and I talked about today, and also teaches concealed carry, and that's those of us that live here in the United States and grew up with guns. It's like you and I were talking today. I was talking about I was able to go deer hunting and carry a gun when I was 12 years old. We could go pheasant hunting carrying a 410 shotgun at 10. And
I got my training with a 22 long range at 12 years old. There was
Yeah.
a local elementary school
Yeah.
with a range underneath, and we would shoot there.
Yeah. And that's the problem now. See, kids have not been raised to understand guns and what they are and how to respect them. And sometimes I hate to say, it's the video games. I hate to sound like an old man, but I am an old man. Sometimes I think kids have gotten so jaded between the 24-hour news stations, the crap that's on TV about, people die all the time on TV. They're always being killed and shot, in as many vicious ways as you can think to kill a person. They've done a movie about it, you know. And the same with video games. They just respawn. And that's why this new generation of kids and Karen Murray, that was who it was, Karen Murray. She was just a very interesting and intriguing person. But she knows a lot about the handguns, about laws, and stuff. And
Well,
yeah,
that whole controversy now with Walmart not
yeah,
allowing people with concealed carry weapons into their store.
right, right,
Stop
yeah,
shopping at Walmart. If
yep.
you're going to be un-American,
That's
don't take my money either.
yeah, exactly, and
I'm
that's
not going to
that's
sit in the store and be helpless. If there's a shooting event,
right,
but that's a political show. So,
yeah. Well, but my show is one of those that we can talk about that because it's my show. I
sure,
know we
sure.
covered predominantly drones, but we might not talk about it on Mel's show because he likes to stick strictly with drones. But mine's kind of an open forum, so whatever pops up is pops up, And everybody here knows if they've watched my videos, they know my point of view. And
So, what was her stance or Karen's view on what's happening today?
on her
The
stand, I was just
attack.
reading what she says. It's real simple. They've got the laws to enforce it. She was talking about the red flag law, and she says she had a friend whose husband was a police officer, and and Greg, no, that's not vaguely true. Uh, what was? How did he put that? Is killed every 7 hours in the U.S. No, not by police. No, not even close. Matter of fact, I know law enforcement officers who went 20 years and retired and never drew their gun. No, that's unfortunately, Greg. Those are the kind of shows that make the U.S. look like we're like that. But no, that's not even close. That's a far left-leaning socialist television program. My opinion. Sorry. And if you're socialist, I don't mean to offend.
The stats are
You're
out
just on the
there.
wrong show. you know. But her idea was going back to this story, and she told this story, and she said that this gentleman was a police officer, and he started having some problems, and he went and got help, or they sent him in for eval, and turns out he was suffering from the early onset of paranoid schizophrenia. Not the early onset, but he was starting to. It was at the early stages of paranoid schizophrenia.
Right.
Well, eventually he was put in the position he had to retire. They retired him out, and that was that. But he was allowed to keep his service revolver. Now, anybody in their right mind, or had the psychologist been smart, they would have said we need to take his service revolvers.
Sure.
This guy needs to be flagged for this because he's going to continue to get. It was a deteriorating medical condition, and he did eventually get worse. He did go in and get his service revolver while his wife was sleeping. This friend of hers, he shot her, killed her, and then killed himself. There's a situation where red flag would have worked because it would have been. But as she also says, you got the other side of things is where, let's say you have an ex that just is ticked off at you. They can come in and take your guns with these red flag laws. There is no due process whatsoever. And, it's just that. There's no due process. And they can take your guns for the rest of your life. And you have no idea who reported you, who it was. You can't say, "Wait a minute, I was," that's an ex-girlfriend, boyfriend, or whatever kind of friend, or somebody that just doesn't like me. They're a troll on my YouTube channel. Some
Yeah.
crap like that. And that's just that's what's
What?
bad about those laws. You know,
I'm not aware of that. What is the spirit of this red flag law?
anybody can come in and say that they can go to the police and report
Right.
that they're a neighbor or whatever. They don't have to have any proof. They can just say that they
Well, see,
think you're
no,
unhinged, and
no.
the police
State
can
of
come knock on
Florida
your door and
has,
take all your guns, and you they they're supposed to give you a hearing in 5 days, and if you can prove that you're not crazy, they'll give you your guns back. In some
the
states,
state of Florida has two laws, just like many other states do. One is called the Marchman Act for alcohol and drug abuse, and the other one is called the Baker Act, which is where you're mentally disturbed to the point of being a danger to yourself
self
or others.
or others,
Those acts require a mandatory 72-hour observation
right?
by a doctor.
But
Now, if you couple that with a red flag,
yeah,
okay.
that yes, maybe if they take them in for evaluation, okay. If they have, but what these red flags, and there are several states that already has them. Colorado's one of them, and uh, they can just and there was somebody. I can't remember what state it was in. Whether it was in,
In fact, now,
yeah, yeah. They
awesome.
just well, you got to understand, Colorado. One of the let's see. I've tried that with you for weeks. They keep telling me that they know. They just waiting for the other, waiting on the fireworks. Yeah. See, a troll like that could say, under the red flag law, he could say, "I know this guy, and he carries a gun, and he's just not quite right
He's a
there."
danger.
Yeah, and they'll come in and take your guns. Yeah, they fortunately they aren't going to do it in Oklahoma because we don't have that red flag law. But women can go topless in Oklahoma now in public.
In public?
Yeah,
What the hell's going on over there?
there was a
Or I might have
lawsuit.
to come there for a visit. You
Yeah,
got
there's
room?
no. Yeah, I got a room. You can come visit, but I guarantee you, most of these women you don't want to see topless. You don't even like
Yeah,
seeing them out in
right.
the. You if you watch any of my videos, you hear me describe them. Yeah, you don't want to see them
Well, that's
topless.
it. Look what Mark says. We keep these senators and congressmen in office for 20 years. I
Yeah,
mean, good Lord, some of them are in their 70s. They're not in touch with the man on the street, and they haven't been for 40 years.
on January 1st, 2020 is when the red flag law in Colorado goes into place. And
Who
see,
voted that in?
it was voted in by their congressional leaders. You got to remember that they've got a very liberal socialist government in Colorado now. Uh, the heart and soul of Colorado doesn't feel that way, but just like what will happen with the United States if, like, Texas becomes a socialist state, all of those
Right.
electoral votes are going to go towards the National Socialist Democratic Party. You know, uh, because they'll
Reservation laws are totally different. You can't touch them, Mark. In fact, I was told by someone in South Dakota that they come off the res, commit their crimes, go back on the res, and can't be touched
they
by.
it used to be that way here. We have very few reservations. We have a couple down south. We have one for, I think, the Apaches, the Kiowas, and stuff like that have reservations. But the rest of, like, the rest of our Native American groups, uh, like the five civilized tribes, which is the Creeks, the Chickasaws, the uh, which is, let's see, the Cherokees, the Seminoles, and I forgot what the fifth one is.
We have Seminoles down here.
Yeah, yeah. But those are part of the five civilized tribes. And those tribes that have land here in Oklahoma, because uh, we have an area up here that was called it was called No Man's Land, and it was considered part of the old Indian Territory. It was an area of Oklahoma that law enforcement couldn't go on to. So they fixed it because they were doing the same thing. They were committed crime in, say, Muskogee County, and they'd zip across and get over into no man's land that was protected under, Bureau of Indian Affairs. They couldn't touch them, or protected by the Cherokee Marshals. They couldn't touch them, and uh, yeah, we have Apaches here. They were brought here from Arizona.
Originally, they marched them all down south anyway.
Yeah, well,
All the
yeah,
Indians.
well, like most of our Indians were settled in Indian Territory. Were brought here over the Trail of Tears, which was brought. They were brought in from Georgia, which is where you get the
Exactly.
Cherokees, the Seminoles, the Creeks. They were the lowland tribes, or is what they were, and they ended up being brought here back when it is one. I was always a fan of Andrew Johnson as a kid, but as I grew up and after I watched some things, one of the things I learned was the Supreme Court sided with the Cherokee Nation and said that they did not have to leave their homes in Georgia, or did they have to sign to be, they had to swear allegiance to the state of Georgia. Okay, and the Supreme Court sided with them. But Andrew Jackson refused to enforce that law, and so they forced him to march out and march through the winter here to Oklahoma, and uh, that's why so many of them died. But hello, Jeff Ellenberger, glad to see you in here. But uh, yeah, but we don't have, but we did have that, and what they did is they cross deputized, so that now they can cross into no man's land and arrest them, because they had
Good.
guys committing murders, and they were
Yes.
getting by, they were getting stopped, and they'd have to, they were getting away because they'd have to stop the chase. If they were in a high speed chase, they had to stop right when they got there. And so
Well, you know who
now,
I'm talking about, right? Ron,
oh,
up in the
Lockwood, yeah,
Dakotas.
yeah,
Yeah.
Ron Lockwood, yeah,
He
yeah,
he says even
yeah,
in the Rapid City area in South
yeah.
Dakota, they'll come over, do their crimes, and they know they can scoot back to the res,
They used
and
to
there's
do that
nothing
down.
the
They used to
local
do that.
police can do.
Yeah, they did it in Arizona, New Mexico too. You know, especially up in like New Mexico or Arizona had most of their stuff up north, up towards the Four Corners area. You
Yeah.
know, those
Yeah.
reservations up there.
You see, I was naive. I thought the FBI covered that kind of action, but apparently
Bureau of
not.
Indian Affairs. No, Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they appoint their own. They appoint their own tribal law enforcement officers. Uh, just like the Cherokee Nation up here, they have their own marshal service, which was really funny because
What?
they had, yeah, they had a coup, so to speak. They didn't agree with the chief that was running the Cherokee tribe at the time, and so they tried to throw him out. He locked the Supreme Court justices of the Cherokee Supreme Court out of their offices so he could send the marshals in to look at the Cherokee marshals to look at because they worked for him and to get the files that they had on him. so
Oh,
so the Supreme Court, if you can imagine our Supreme Court justice doing this, they broke in and crawled through the windows of the courthouse to get the files and then held it. I could, and my image is a bunch of old judges in robes crawling through windows. That's not
right.
how it was. But they had a standoff there for 3 or 4 days, and finally the U.S. Marshal Service had to come in and step in. And they there was a big it that The chief got thrown in jail. The chief justice of the Supreme Court got thrown in jail because they started throwing
Well,
punches. If these guys got out there, and you know, uh, the Marshal Service, the Cherokee Marshal Service, was having the Supreme Court justices arrested. Well, then they were pressing charges against the chief, and so the U.S. Marshal Service threw him in jail, and they all ended up in jail for a while. And but
hey,
it was
Ron,
interesting.
I was
So
just talking about you and the Indian situation up in South Dakota,
yeah,
what we were talking about the other night. And Lloyd here was telling us. Lloyd, go ahead and just quickly
well,
recap.
yeah. What it was is we had it because we don't have reservations in this part of Oklahoma, but we had areas that were originally Indian land under the protection of the Indian Territory,
Yeah.
and uh, it was called no man's land, and it was Indian. It was considered Indian territory, and our law enforcement officers, they could have a high-speed chase as soon as they hit that boundary. They had to shut her down. If they committed a murder, then they had to wait for the Cherokee Marshal Service to come out if they felt like it was justified. If they didn't feel the guys were picking on them, you
Right.
know, they would eventually come out. But by the time they got around to it, they couldn't find him, and then they said, but we can't hand him over to you because we have a non-extradition treaty. You
Right.
know, so,
So they
so,
created.
yeah. But now they have what they've done is they have cross-deputized. Anybody in this part of Oklahoma can pursue. Uh, we have a lot of cross-deputizations, and they become part of a task force in which they work with the local law enforcement, the Cherokee Marshals, the Indian Marshal Services, and all of that. Work with the because that was happening a lot, and they had one murderer get away and kill, and once he killed in the no man's land, well then it was all over.
Yeah, that's why we were talking about that,
Yeah, that's
Ron.
why he was bringing that up. We were talking about the gun control thing, and yeah, Indians are allowed to carry guns and do all that in their hunting areas, and
Reservation.
yeah, and they're allowed to hunt by law. They can hunt any time of the year. Uh, some tribes can hunt anytime they want to, because it's part of their
Food.
you know
Heritage.
yeah, it's part of their heritage. It's part of what they got in the it's basically what they got set up in the treaty. They get a
Yeah,
better
that
deal
should
than
be a
we do.
national thing, though. The cross deputizing.
Yeah,
You're getting to the point where they know the rules and they're
yeah,
not going to be touched if they can make it back to the
yeah,
res.
yeah. And they finally, like I said, we don't have the reservations here. I grew up in Colorado. We had reservations in Colorado. I lived in Arizona. We had them there. I got family in New Mexico, so I know about the reservations there. I know about the ones, but Oklahoma, when I moved here, that was a whole different story. The tribes here run on a complete different level than what ours do. So
Ron
the
says, what
tribe in
tribe?
our area is we have two that are predominantly in this area. Well, three, and that's the Chickasaw, the Cherokees, and the Creek, or the Muskogee Indians. Creek is the name we gave the pale faces gave them, us lighter skinned folks. I've got a I'm darker red than my daughter-in-law who is card carrying Cherokee. I've got a darker. I usually get a darker tan than her. I just get to laugh at her because look, I got more red tint than you do. But yeah, but uh, but we kind of got a saying in Oklahoma, or well, in my family, I should say, every family's got a dead Indian grandma because growing up, we all had a grandma that was Indian, and we all, but they didn't register. Well, after doing a lot of family searching and going through all the tribal rolls and all that stuff, there's a bunch of them that claim it, but there's very few that actually have it. You know.
Yeah.
I think Elizabeth Warren kind of ran into that problem. She grew up in this part of the country,
They
and
were doing the blood tests, right?
yeah, yeah, they are now. They started to. Uh,
Yeah.
the Cherokee tribe requires you to have not just the lineage, but you now have to, now they do a DNA test as well. Uh, you can't just have a number; you have to have the DNA test. And this is where Elizabeth Warren ran into problem. She followed down the same, fell down the same rabbit hole so many of us have. You know that have family that grew up in here in Oklahoma. Yeah, my great grandma just never, you know, Grandpa was Indian, but he didn't want to. He was embarrassed to sign that roll number. You know, so everybody's got a dead Indian grandma. You know, uh,
Except me. I'm Irish.
yeah, well, yeah. You
I
want
have
to know something
indentured
funny?
servants in my background.
Irish and Scottish are the two white races that the Cherokees and the Creeks would allow to marry into their tribe. You know why that is?
We're nice guys.
No, it had nothing to do with that. It's that you were clan oriented.
Okay, yeah,
Okay,
I'll buy
you
it.
had the Scottish and the Irish both have clans, and the Cherokees and the Creeks or the Muskogees are clan Indians. They have different clans. I think there's 7 clans of the Cherokees or 5. I can't remember. I think there's 7, and that's why they allowed those of Scottish and Irish descent to marry into their tribes, is because they were clan people too, and they just recognized it that way. So a good half of the Indians in this part of the world are the Cherokees are either Scottish and Irish anyway. So you know, but just a little interesting side note. So okay, we've managed to. I told my wife we were going to run over.
Okay. And we did.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
would.
we've
Yeah,
got the
Ron, I would
Seminole
definitely like to get
Casino
with you
down
and
here.
do
And
what.
in Branson, Missouri, don't you have Indian run casinos in that area?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The see, this is the thing. The Indians actually won. They're getting our money now because they built casinos. We've got them all. There's one.
White man be spending wampum.
Yeah. Well, there's 2 right here in my county, right here in my city. We got one on one side of town, one on the other side of town. You know, we got a Cherokee casino on over that direction, and the Muskogee Creek Nation casino is that direction on the other side of town. We got, so, and then we can go to Tulsa. Shoot, they've got a Hard Rock Cafe casino.
Yeah.
So everybody's getting into it. But anyways, I said we're going to go over. We went over, and yeah, it was nice having my running mate, Ron. So, JDS Flying Canuck, glad you was able to get in here and
Stop
visit.
by.
So, Steve Mack,
With a look.
we've had a good crowd tonight. We really have. And
Well, that's because I was on.
yeah, that's it, man. It
I
has to
got
do
that
with
power.
you got
I
that
kind of
power.
bring it with me.
That's why I picked you for a running mate. I expect you to start bringing in more money than you were, but that didn't happen.
I know the coffers are dry. We need a slush fund.
Oklahoma Drone says there's 501 American Indian gaming operations in the United States, and they're owned by 241 of the nation's 573 federally recognized tribes. These gambling tribes operate in 29 of the 50 states. Yeah.
32 billion. 43%. Oh, that only represents 43% of all casino gaming revenue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's the rest of it?
Oh,
The
yes,
club?
Greg. It's Greg telling me we're running over. Yeah.
Oh.
You finished
Huh?
yet? You finished yet?
No, we're not
No,
finished
I'm
yet.
not. I'm fixing to, though. I was fixing to wind it down. Okay.
Is he going
All
on?
right. All right. Talk to you in a bit.
He
Yeah.
wants you to get off so you can get on his.
Yeah, that's it. He wants me to he wants to talk with me about something. I don't know. Anyways, guys, with that said and done, I think I am going to wind it up because it's getting late, and I know it's getting late for you, but I know you stay up late. So, anyways, we have covered just about anything and everything here on this show tonight, haven't we? And
Topics.
it's been fun. It has been real fun,
I had a
and
great
I will have you back again, Jim. Uh,
anytime, sir, Mr.
and
President-elect.
Well, I appreciate, and I'm glad you're my running mate. You know, you make a great running mate. You know, we just got to get some more of those bribes, more of that fundraising going. You
I'll
know,
help you run off with the money. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you know, hey, you can buy my vote, really.
we're
All
not
right,
hiding
Matt.
the
Thanks a lot. Yeah, and with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer, and we'll let it run out. I'll come out and say a word or two, and next week, Tater Rogers will be my co-host, and see what kind of trouble we get in with him. Again, Jim, thank you so much for stepping in and
All
being my
right, bud.
co-host
Thanks
tonight.
again.
So, and folks, I'm going to call it a night. I'm going to start the timer, and I'll come back in and say a final word. So, it was good talking with Jim, and I appreciate it. So here's the timer, folks.
known as the grumpy vlogger. I'll gripe and complain longer. Please do me the ado and kindly view me on YouTube.
My fellow Americans, I am Lloyd Mendenhall, the Grumpy Vlogger. I am running for President of the United States of America in the 2020 election. I will be running on the Indem Republican ticket. I, along with my running mate, James Boyd from Above and Beyond Drones, would like your support. We stand for nothing, and we won't stand for anything. Remember, bite me. Vote for me, and I will set you free. Paid for by the Grumpy Vlogger Campaign Committee, and I approve this message. Thank you. Okay, folks, I want to thank everybody. I want to especially thank Jim Boyd and good night, Greg, and for coming in. And remember, next week my co-host is going to be Tater Rogers. So be nice to everybody. If you can't be nice, be grumpy. All right, I'm out of here. Bye-bye for now.